Hello to you from Cardiff on this lovely September evening. Welcome to Money, Markets and More with me, Dominic Frisby. Today I wanted to make an argument about how to be happy and tell you about 7 basic animal habits that we should all adopt. Now, I am as guilty of this as anyone, but many of us make life more difficult than it needs to be. Achieving basic happiness, or at least avoiding what depresses us, might actually be quite simple. Now, when I was a young man, I was chronically ambitious. And I would lie in bed as a student, dreaming about my future, making Faustian pacts, and yet nothing would satisfy me. You could have offered me fame, glory, wealth, the keys to the city, and more, and it would not have been enough. I wanted everything. And when we discussed our futures, my friend Gideon, though it pains me to admit it, is very gifted and hugely competent, but not competent, I should say, but not remotely ambitious. He always used to say, "I just want to be happy." And I thought that was sort of loser talk, and looking back, he was probably right. Now, how often do you watch a film or a show or a TV program or something because somebody was raving about it, only for it to turn out to be nothing like as good as you were hoping, and you end up disappointed? But if you saw the same film with no or low expectations, and it's pretty good, you might walk away feeling quite elated. Life is similar. If reality comes in below expectation, then we end up disappointed. If it comes in above expectation, then we end up happy. And hence this useful formula. If reality is greater than expectation, that equals happiness. If expectation is greater than reality, that equals unhappiness. And by that formula then, to achieve happiness, you should simply lower your expectations. Now, there's a lot to be said for that. But then there is also a lot to be said for ambition and optimism, which the mindset of low expectation negates. Ultimately, this way of thinking boils down to perception. Your life is no different. It's the same film, it's just a matter of how you look at it. Thus, should we all practice gratitude? Nevertheless, I'm not sure perennially low expectation is a way to live. Despite what we may think of ourselves, no matter how cultured we are, when all is said and done, we are animals. And if you keep a dog, you will know that to be happy, a dog needs plenty of outdoor exercise and fresh air, regular and proper food, sleep, love, and company. Absent any of these, and the animal quickly becomes depressed. Human beings are the same. We have certain basic needs without which we end up depressed. And the cause of depression is often, not always, the continued absence of one of these basics. And with that in mind, here are 7 animal essentials we need to be happy. And if you're depressed, it's not unlikely that one of these is missing in your life. Get it back, and you might find that other things fall into place. The problem with depression, that's why I'm stuttering a bit, is that you lose the motivation to get these things in place. You get caught in a loop. So I'm not saying that you can't be depressed or unhappy if you have all of these things. You can. But a lot of the time, the cause is simply that one of these is absent, and you get caught into it, you get trapped in the loop. If you get it back in your life, you will find that your depression sorts itself out. So here we go. Number 1, the sun. The sun is the giver of all life on Earth. It's the source of all energy, of light, of heat and gravity. Most of us do not get enough of it. We spend too much time indoors under artificial lights. And the darker your skin, the more sun you need. And sun can be hard to come by in cold and northern European climes. But you need sun, whether you're light or dark skinned. Our ancestors spent most of the day outdoors. So when the opportunity presents itself, get plenty of sun all over your body. We need sun. Only use enough sunblock to prevent burning. And as soon as you can, wean yourself off. A close family member got herself into the most terrible depressed state last winter. And I'm convinced it's because she did not see sunlight for months, instead lying in bed all day, watching crap on her phone. It's no accident that the sun is often depicted with a smile on his face. Get more sun. Number 2, water. It's as obvious a basic requirement as the sun, yet most of us do not drink enough. Got a bit of a headache? A bit blocked up, a bit constipated, feeling stiff, allergic, lethargic, hungry when you know you're not? Drink a large glass of water. Just under a pint should do it. That would be a pound of water, the old pint, roughly half a litre. You'll be amazed at how many niggles it clears up. A large glass of water should be the first thing you drink every morning when you wake up. And don't drink it cold, drink it at room temperature or just below. 3, food. 2 meals a day is probably plenty. Avoid snacks. Don't eat crappy processed food. Avoid seed oils and ingredients with the names of which you don't understand. Use simple foods, meat, fish, veg, fruit, as close to their naturally occurring state, i.e. unprocessed, as possible. Spend time preparing food. Ideally eat with other people. Eating should be a shared communal activity. Regular eating times are good. And say grace before you eat. It focuses the table. It unifies the group. It expresses gratitude. And it helps mark where you are in the day and in your life, and it grounds you. It doesn't matter if you don't believe in God, saying grace is still a good ritual. That applies to many religious practices. And also, rather than eat crap on the run, just skip meals. Fasting is good. If you're overweight and you want to lose weight fast, then fast. The 5-2 diet works, and most importantly, it is sustainable. But the basic rule is eat regular healthy meals and don't eat crap. Exercise, number 4, get plenty of it. I'm convinced exerting yourself and getting your heart pumping cures depression. Walk, swim, run, cycle, go to the gym, play football, play tennis, lift weights, do HIIT, high intensity training, ski, do yoga. It's all good. Do as much as possible outside so you get sun and fresh air, and drink plenty of water afterwards. Which brings us to number 5, air. It's as basic as food and water, and sun. Get plenty of fresh air. Sea and countryside air is better than city air. Park air is better than busy street air. But plenty of exercise will help get you breathing properly. Breathing exercises are good. Breathe deep. But breathing exercises do get quite boring, but they're quite a good way of getting you off to sleep. Which brings us to number 6, sleep. Get plenty of sleep too. Don't deprive yourself. We need sleep. The body and mind replenish during sleep. I have many of my best ideas when I'm asleep. I often solve problems in my sleep, and it's because the mind carries on working at stuff you've been thinking about in the day. Alcohol and drugs affect sleep badly. I drink too much, most of us do. Try to avoid drinking at home. Try to avoid drinking late at night. And fasting is good again, because if nothing else, it stops you drinking. Thus does fasting improve the quality of your sleep. And if you want to have a lucid dream, don't drink. Lucid dreams are amazing. You'll remember them a lot longer than you remember your nights out. And there's nothing wrong with going to bed early. Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. And that's probably when the demons come to visit a bit and I start mulling over stuff that doesn't need mulling over. The best cure for that is plenty of exercise earlier in the day so that you go to sleep tired. Don't drink caffeine or orange juice. Amazing how orange juice keeps you up after 6 p.m. Don't eat too heavily late at night. Don't shower or bathe just before bed. It'll wake you up. Reading is good. It helps get you to sleep, particularly if you read my books. And don't look at your phone or your computer or your TV or your iPad for at least an hour before bed. The blue light wakes you up and stimulates you. And so we come to number 7, companionship. Animals, for the most part, are social. Humans certainly are. I'm an only child, I'm quite solitary, quite a solitary person, but I still need the company of others, be they friend or family. We all do. Nature designed humans to live in families, large ones. Unfortunately, the modern world, in particular the big state, is destroying that. The state destroys family by eroding its responsibility. And for me, that's a major factor in the decline of the West, but that's another issue for another day. It's not always possible, but try to live in as big a family unit as possible. The Asians, in my view, have that right. Your family knows you better than anyone. They know what's good for you. They know what is not good for you. They monitor you. And humans are happier in family units. Their roles are more clearly defined. Try and find a partner to live your life with, someone with plenty of shared loves and interests. Don't burden them with unreasonable expectations. The waitress test is very good if you have a really bad experience in a restaurant. Watch how they treat the waiter or waitress, because that is how they will treat you when things get bad. Do you want that? We need friends almost as much as family. They're the next best thing, and they make for a good substitute in the absence of family. Surround yourself with good people and people who you think are good for you. If you hang out with bums and lowlifes, you will become a bum and a lowlife. Next, I want to talk about what you can control and what you can't. Most of the above, the 7 animal habits, you have some control over. So much of what happens in your life is beyond your control. You can't control who your parents are, at what point in history you were born, where you were born, what is going on geopolitically around you. You can't control natural disasters, catastrophes. One example of this is observed by Malcolm Gladwell in his book Outliers, The Story of Success. Neither Bill Gates nor Steve Jobs would have been the men they were if they were born a couple of years earlier or a couple of years later. There was a cluster of computer geniuses who were all born within a 1-year time frame. And that meant they were all coming of age, 16, 15, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, at just the point that computers were taking off. Your health is not always within your control, but you can affect it by eating, sleeping, drinking and exercising well and getting plenty of sun. If you're in a big establishment at school or university, or you work in a large establishment, you can't control what's happening around you, above you, but you can influence things. Similarly, if you're a freelancer, you can't control what's happening in the broader workplace or the economy, but you can influence things by being the best person that you can be. You can position yourself for stuff. Any stock trader will tell you can't control markets, you can only react to them. The loss of a loved one, natural disasters, unforeseen catastrophic events, the talents bestowed on you, there is so much you have no control over. But with all this in mind, my daughter and I put this graph of life together the other day, and the black line is your life. And beneath the black line is stuff you can control. Above it is stuff you can't. And I'm reminded of the great line from J.R.R. Tolkien's Fellowship of the Ring. "I wish it need not have happened in my time," said Frodo. "So do I," said Gandalf, "and so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us." You can work hard, position yourself, play your hand well, make good decisions, but so much of what happens in life you have no control over. And I gather a standard sports psychology, something that Sven-Göran Eriksson always used to bang on about. I wasn't the biggest fan of his as England manager, but it's only to worry about stuff you can affect. The animal habits outlined above, you can, for the most part, affect. Companionship is harder. This is obviously a huge subject and one I'm going to come back to, but I think I've banged on enough for one video. When I was in my 20s trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, my father always used to say, there are only two things that matter: who you love and what you love, by which he meant your work. Work, tradition, prayer, spirituality and their relationship with happiness are all things I'd like to explore in another video, but we have enough for now. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, please subscribe to my Substack, and if you're watching this before September the 28th, 2022 and you're in London, on the 28th and 29th of September, my lecture with funny bits, How Heavy, about the history of weights and measures, is coming to the Museum of Comedy. It's a 7 to 8 p.m. show. That's in the West End of London, so you can come along and then go out for a nice dinner afterwards. The lecture will give your evening a strong intellectual foundation, and you can buy tickets. I'll put a link in the video somewhere here, and also in the comments section below. It's in the description below. It's a very interesting subject, effectively how you perceive the world, and I hope to see you there. Until then, goodbye.